laden with stuff that we just did not know, that every area of our life was under attack. Emotionally, physically, mentally, socially, everywhere that we can look was under an attack. And we find ourselves in a place where we can't break through sometime in our praise because the weight has become so heavy. But when we look back from where God has brought us from and we see ourselves still pushing and praying and preaching and singing and clapping and jumping, we can just say, thank you, Lord. So when you find yourself in a place and a position in God that God releases us to be blessed by Him, we don't move. And we find in the scripture a man by the name of Daniel. If I could just exegete out a little bit of this, Daniel was one that the scripture said that had a good spirit. He was one that loved God, and he was one that had made up in his mind that there was a position that he was going to put himself in with God. It didn't matter what came his way. When we listen to all of the high ranks that had come before him and had pleaded somewhat of a case because the fact that they wanted glory for themselves. They wanted him to honor a law and a rule that wasn't pertaining to the true and living God. But one thing Daniel made up in his mind is that he found what worked for him, and he was not going to come down from that position. When you find yourself in a place in God, and you find yourself in a place of prayer, you find yourself in a church that worship God, and in a place of worship in your spirit, you don't come down from that place, because the enemy don't want you to stay there, because that's a place where God's going to deliver you. He had a praying spirit. The scripture says how he prayed 3 times a day, and it caused some conflict with the enemy. When you know that you have a connection with God, and prayer is something where, in spite of how the enemy tried to mess with you in prayer, it's something about the connection when you talk to God that the enemy can't do nothing about it. He may mess your mind, he may mess with your time, but he can't mess with what God is going to do with that connection between you and him. So Daniel made up in his mind that he was not changing his position or his posture. He was going to stay in this place because he knew sooner or later, whether he had to go in a den of lions or whatever come his way, he knew what was going to get him in that den and bring him out. What took him in, what the officials did not understand is that they participated in something that they didn't even realize, that they was messing with the true and living God. They was messing with a power that even in the midst of Daniel's den, that the den was going to become an altar for him. There was something that was going to change itself right in the middle of the face of the enemy and receive joy in his spirit. So the scripture said he stood fast to what he knew, what was right, and chaos came because the fact he would not take down because of the decree that was set forth in this time. And when we understand the decree back in those days, there was something that could not be changed without the king. The king was the one that had to put the official ring stamp and had to release certain things among the certain society to let them know if they were able to move forward in any type of plea. But what they did not understand is that they was meeting up with a man that was connected with the King of Kings. They didn't realize that he was one that was above whatever decree that they could ever put in place. But one thing Daniel realized is that he wasn't changing for any type of other rule, but for that what God has given unto him. And when you get to that place to understand that there are some things that the enemy is just angry about what God is doing in your life, you will learn to sit still and keep your posture. You will learn not to allow the enemy to pull you out of your place of worship, not to let him pull you out of your moment of prayer, not to pull you out of your sanctification, not to pull you out of your praise, but you will tell him, I'm standing on the promises of God. I'm standing in a place where I know God is going to change this matter. I may have to wait a minute, but if I'm in the den with lions, the den is going to become my altar, because I know that I serve the true and living God. Clap your hands and say hallelujah. Hallelujah. One of the things we have to understand, we thank God with what he's done with Daniel, because he took a position that he wasn't going to allow the enemy to come and move him out. And when we look at what God has done with us, because there was many spirits that we may have wrestled with in our past time where the enemy did not want us to become stable in our praise. He didn't want us to become stable in our service unto God. He wanted to get us to a place place where every time we begin to move forward, the enemy knocks us back 20 steps. Every time it seems like we're making progress with our hope and our mind and our spirit, the enemy tries to push us back. But when you get to the place like Daniel and say, whatever means necessary, I'm going to wait on Jesus. Whatever means necessary, I'm going to stay in this position and posture that I know God has put me in. I didn't put myself, but when I was broke down and beat down, the Lord saw where I needed to be positioned in a place that would help me to get saved in my mind and released from the pit of hell. So this place that God has us in, it's not a place that was easily entered in. But the enemy is angry because what you're standing for is right. You're preaching salvation. You're preaching sanctification. You're preaching holiness. We realize holiness is not the long skirts and the black skirts and the white blouses. It's not you going without a perm or going around looking like you're dry and dead. That's not holiness. Because some of them same people is mean and evil. Hallelujah. Just as nasty. Look at somebody, say nasty. Hallelujah. Holiness is a lifestyle. There's something about your walk, your talk, your smell, your clap, your praise, your walk, and what God is saying. That we wasn't always at a place where we could thank God for what He's done inside of us. We're not crazy anymore. We're not out here running around acting crazy. We're not loose goose anymore. But we are saved and sanctified. Look at somebody and say, I'm Holy Ghost filled. And I'm glad about it. Oh, hallelujah. I'm about to finish. I'm ready. Hallelujah. For God to do something else in me. Hallelujah. So Daniel stays in position. He does not come down. He refused to let the enemy take him out of the place for where God has him in. And there's a place that you're in, El Shaddai, that God has you in a move of worship. He has you in a move of praise and sanctification. He's purifying and purging some stuff like never before. You find yourself in a position that you were never in. Don't let no devil in hell move you out from where God has you. Scripture said that Daniel had to go through a position in his life where he had to go through some dens. He went through a place with some lions. But did they not understand that every lion, every breath of that lion had to come subject to the breath of God? Oh Lord, did he not understand that he was standing in a place? The lion was in a place of God, in a position where there was a man that knew the King of Kings. It wasn't about the king of Persia, but it was about the King of Heaven. There was someone that stood on the road called righteousness for his name's sake. You may come against some battles, but your shield is going to be Jesus. No matter what you go through, wherever you find yourself, make an altar. When you get in the valley of death, make an altar. When you know Jonah found an altar in the belly of the fish, glory be to God. So here we are in a place. We're thanking God for putting us in this place. We tried to wrestle ourselves out. We tried to get out of this, but